a lot of people don't seem to understand that in the modern scientific world, in the medical world, in the psychological world, causality is probabilistic. It's not the old necessary and sufficient kind of causality that that's typically taught in the first logic course that one has. And just to give you an example in terms of smoke, I mean, we all sort of now, as a society, agree that smoking causes lung cancer. But yet we also know that not everyone who smokes gets lung cancer, and we know that some people who don't smoke do get lung cancer. This all violates the old sort of necessary and sufficient rules. What this means in some sense is that when we say smoking causes cancer, what we're really saying is smoking is a risk factor that causes an increase in the likelihood that one will get cancer. From a risk factor approach, another point that I think is important to keep in mind is that risk factors accumulate. A person who has 4 risk factors for a particular risky behavior or bad outcome is more likely to have that outcome occur than someone who has only 1 risk factor. Okay? And so, when I talk about electronic media being a causal risk factor for certain kinds of risky behaviors, it is important to keep in mind it is 1 risk factor. It's more important than some other risk factors for a given behavior, less important than others, but it's one that is real, is important, and is pointed out because kids, and it isn't just kids, it's adults as well, spend so much time on electronic media these days. It's one that we really do need to think about. What I want to talk about just real quickly today here is this set of risk factors or risk behaviors that lead to problems of like obesity, alcohol use, tobacco use, sexual activity, and violence. Now, I'm going to focus more on the violence issue in part because that's where my expertise really lies, but also because it has more research on it than any of these other areas. In terms of what electronic media effects are. So what we've done in our particular chapter, and what other people and other say articles in this book have done basically, is to review the research literature and try to come up with a clean answer to the question of whether there are links between electronic media use and specific bad outcomes, and we try to classify those